Ernest Ernie Banks, Dallas, Texas, January 31, 1931, Chicago, Illinois, January 23, 2015 was a retired American baseball player who spent his entire career with the Chicago Cubs 1953 to 1971. Banks was a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. His nickname was Mr. Cub. He resided in the Los Angeles area. Playing career: Banks signed up with the Kansas City Monarchs, the Negro Leagues team, in 1950 and entered the major leagues in 1953 with the Chicago Cubs as their first black player. He played with the Cubs throughout his career, starting at shortstop and then playing first base in 1962. Banks wore number 14, and is one of only 4 Cubs players to have had their numbers retired by the organization. He is known for his personal phrase, "It's a beautiful day for a game. Let's play 2." This is how he expressed his desire to play the doubleheader, now in English to indicate 2 games in a row on the same day every day, for his love of the sport of baseball, especially if he was going to play at his favorite field, Wrigley Field. In 1955, he held the record for the most Grand Slams in a season with 5, a mark that no one could surpass for more than 20 years. Banks won the Most Valuable Player title twice, in 1958 and 1959, despite the fact that the Cubs were not in a prominent position that season. Jimmy Dykes said that without Ernie Banks, the Cubs would have ended up in Albuquerque. On September 2, 1965, Banks hit his 400th home run. On May 12, 1970, at Wrigley Field in Chicago, he hit his 500th. Banks retired with 512 home runs, the most in history by a shortstop. Banks currently holds the record for most extra base hits by a Cubs player with 1,009. Coaching career: on December 1, 1971, Banks retired as a player and the Cubs signed him as coach. On May 8, 1973, Whitey Lockman, the Cubs manager, was ejected from the game. Banks took his place for the final 2 innings of the 12-inning game against the San Diego Padres. The Cubs beat them 3-2. Thus, Banks effectively, if not officially, became the first black manager in the major leagues, preempting Frank Robinson's contract by almost 2 years. Honored Banks was one of the most beloved baseball players in Chicago sports history. He always promoted the Cubs and daytime games at Wrigley Field. His popularity and positive attitude inspired nicknames such as Mr. Cub and Mr. Sunshine, Mr. Sunny. On August 22, 1982, his number, 14, was the first to be retired by the Cubs. In fact, this number had been de facto retired for 9 years. In 1977, in his first year of eligibility, Banks was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. In 1999, he was ranked 38th on the Sporting News list of greatest baseball players, and was voted to Major League Baseball's Team of the Century.